Welcome to ISCT 2024. Bienvenidos a ISCT 2024, day number 2. It's been a very busy morning with back-to-back sessions, and all of them were incredible. So I am here today with one of my favorite people, and that is Patrick Henley. Take it, Ted.
The former host with the most.
Yes.
I'm filling in for you this year. I don't know if I'm doing you justice.
You did a great job.
Doing everything
You're doing
that I
a great
can.
job.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Coming from Lizette and Patrick, that's very high praise. I know you're a very busy guy, so you've probably been at this meeting since the onset. What have you seen? What are the highlights? What's excited you?
Yeah. First, I want to give Lizette a hug. It's great to be back here.
I'm
Thank you
gonna
for
get in
having
on
me.
that, too.
Yeah. There you go.
Huggy.
So to answer your question, Ted, first of all, I'm really excited to see the award winners. So this year is a phenomenal group. So Paul Eldridge, Ashley Kroll, and Mark Lodell. I think I might have missed someone else, but those are the ones I know the most. And so excited to see that. So congratulations to them. And then beyond that, I have noticed that ISCT has become the place for tool and technology providers to reveal what they have for the season or for the last 5 years. I think I heard Cytiva has been working on this for 8 years or something like that, right? So excited to see all these new technologies, Autonomous, which I do have a conflict of interest with, but they're revealing a free builder for their software, which I've never seen before
That's
in the
exciting.
industry. So just a lot of new, exciting technologies. I think BioLife Solutions is bringing something. So just a lot of new things here, and excited for that.
So last night, we had our first of 2 poster networking sessions. And this year we have over 600 abstracts, submissions. So tell us, which of the abstracts just stand out for you?
Yeah, so first of all, 600 abstracts is a lot to go through and remember.
It is.
I did review many of them, so I don't remember them all. But some that stuck out to me are there's a number of GREX optimizations and scale-up studies, which I'm happy to see. I think the industry needs that, whether it be from Wilson Wolf, Scale Ready, or the Prodigy, or Cytiva, or whoever it is, right? I think we need to see more scalability.
Yep.
Because if we develop something in the process development lab, we need to be able to do that in the manufacturing lab without spending $300,000
That's the
and
key.
To do it again.
$20,000 to try
That's the
and figure it
key.
out, right? So exactly. And then the second one is there was an abstract on cryopreservation of cord blood starting material early for NK cell cryopreservation.
Yeah.
And so I was excited to see that as well.
Yeah, as a cord blood bank guy, I'm sure that
Yeah, I'm
was
sure.
very, very thrilling for you.
Well, I think the cord blood banks have gone through a tough time, and they're now transitioning to immune effector cells, which kind of makes sense.
Yes, makes perfect sense. Fits a wonderful niche.
Yep.
And I love that you're talking about patient access from the scalability standpoint, because I mean we're building all these processes, we're developing all these things, but if we can't get them to the patients, if we can't scale them.
And by the way, that's one of the number one topics I keep hearing during this meeting, and is how can we get it to the patients that need it the most?
Yeah.
But it's one of the number one thing that we're talking about.
Yep.
How can we do this?
And last year it was allo versus auto. This year it's point of care manufacturing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Next year maybe it's going to be in vivo CAR T-cell delivery. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I think the point of care is really exciting to me, and I'm excited to hear a lot of different discussions on that, because I think there are opportunities to drive down costs. Not if it's done in the same way traditional CAR T-cells are delivered, but I think if you do it differently like they're doing in Europe, there's an opportunity there. And there's plenty of reasons why people don't favor that, and we can have that discussion, but I'm happy that people are pushing the envelope and trying new things.
We got one more plug for you. So you talked about the abstracts. Not everybody can see every single abstract throughout the course of the meeting.
Yeah.
So, sensibly, as with every professional meeting, you can find the abstracts in the supplement of Cytotherapy. As commissioning editor of Cytotherapy, what do you think the focus is, or what are the focuses that you're looking for coming up on the horizon?
Thanks for the plug for Cytotherapy.
Of course.
I'm excited about Cytotherapy. So we have a new editor-in-chief, right? So Ed Horwitz. We also have a new managing editor, Ken, who I think you're going to speak with next. And I think there's just a newfound energy behind the journal this year. And you'll see a number of changes coming about. I think you just saw the new cover of the journal. That's new.
Yeah.
But also, we're committed to better review times and just increasing the quality of submissions to meet the readership and the authors that submit Cytotherapy. So, first of all, I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
But just want to remind everyone that Cytotherapy is looking to publish high-quality papers that are associated with mesenchymal stromal cells, iPSCs, immune effector cells, gene therapies, and also EV-based therapies. So again, we are the premier translational journal, so that's a nice sweet spot for us, and really would love to see your submission.
Yeah. And the impact factor has grown
The
considerably.
impact factor has been on the rise over the last, I guess, on the average of 5 years. I think last year, most journals took a hit because they changed how they calculate the impact factor. But that's one of the things that we're focusing on, is making sure that that does continue to rise despite last year.
Do you have anything else? Was
Yeah,
that-
no, I think we're good. It was so
Another
nice
hug,
seeing
maybe?
you.
Yes.
And
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Aw.
Awesome.
Yeah, so
We're
go
going to
ahead.
transition to another Patrick, Patrick River, who sat down with our ambassador, Alicia.
Yeah.
Hi, and we're back here with Patrick Rivers, and Patrick had a really incredible roundtable discussion this morning, and we're going to hear a little bit more about it.
Fantastic.
So Patrick, I'll let you introduce yourself first.
Thank you. My name is Patrick Rivers. I'm a partner and head of research at Aquilo Capital, which is a biotech dedicated investment fund based in San Francisco. We invest exclusively in R&D stage therapeutics companies, really with a focus on novel platform technologies that can iteratively create value across the longer time horizon, multi-asset pipelines, and sort of diverse engines for value creation. We have invested quite a bit in cell and gene therapy companies over the last 10 years because there are a lot of innovative platforms in this realm of drug development. And I think we've learned a lot of lessons, some favorable and some not so favorable, but I remain very excited about opportunities in cell and gene therapy from an investment perspective.
Right, and I love that question from this morning about, what have you learned in hindsight? But I mean, and thinking about that, it's been a little bit of a roller coaster, especially just in the last 12 months or so, with some approvals and some warnings coming out. And where's the VC field sitting at the moment? Like, what's the feel? What do you think the risk tolerance is for cell and gene therapy investment at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, there's the general market backdrop for biotech broadly, which is pretty challenging from a fundraising perspective still. When you look at cell and gene therapy specifically, I think what is most outstanding in my mind is taking some of our process for investment away from the technical risk, which is, are these drugs actually going to work?
Yeah.
Are they biologically relevant mechanisms? Are the clinical data good? I think by and large, like, these things work, and the technical risk isn't the biggest issue anymore. I think what we've come to realize as investors is that the risk factors shift more to regulatory and commercial concerns. And so I think when we think about investing in cell and gene therapy businesses today, where historically we've spent almost all of our time on diligencing the technical risk, for us now it's like, really, what are the regulatory and commercial risks and how are they being addressed? And some of the things that you've referenced, your recent approvals in the space, where there have been really serious commercial headwinds, like, we need to know how you're going to address the commercial risk factors right from the very beginning.
Right, and I mean, that's been such a strong theme around, make sure your process is going to be scalable, or you've got plans to scale up. And so, we talk a lot about the sort of US environment. What's your thoughts on, say, the APAC region? This is dear to my heart, from New Zealand.
Yes.
And, what's the landscape like there and in the EU?
Yeah, I think, we're agnostic to geography. So we'll invest in biotech companies in any geography as long as they fit our general characteristics. And in fact, you can often get the same thing and pay less for it from a valuation standpoint in other geographies, and I like that.
Okay.
There's also lower R&D costs generally in other environments outside the US, and you can accomplish the same thing with fewer dollars. And so that will remain attractive to us. But I think what you need to do to appeal to US investors is make sure that your clinical development and regulatory strategy are up to snuff from an FDA level perspective.
Right.
I think
So,
what we
so
see,
aiming for FDA level as opposed to
Yeah.
your local body.
yeah,
Yeah.
and there may be a different threshold for what you need to do to run a first-in-human trial in New Zealand or in China versus what you need to clear an IND with the FDA. And so I think we need to make sure that you can cross that threshold, maybe not immediately, but in the relatively near future, that you can address regulatory factors outside of your home geography.
Yeah. Okay. Really important take-home message there. Okay, just really, really quickly, what's been your best thing that you've had or observed in the last couple of days?
Yeah, I think, you referenced at the beginning, but I was able to chair a session earlier on what companies need to do to increase their access to capital. And I think what we're hearing is that there's still plenty of appetite for investing in cell and gene therapy companies, but you really need to address very specific risk factors. And I thought it was really interesting to hear from some of the panelists on what kind of pieces of information they're looking for, how, especially at an earlier stage when you're maybe a preclinical company, like what is the data package that you actually need to generate in order to garner investment, and like how you really need to be differentiated. And we can't just be backing another CD19 CAR T product because we've seen that movie too many times now. And if you're really different and you can accomplish something different biologically, make sure you set up your preclinical experiments to demonstrate that. And I think that was really articulately unpacked in that panel discussion, and I think I learned a lot from that.
Yeah, I learned a huge amount as well. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Sean todos ustedes bienvenidos a nuestro segmento ISCT TV Latin Version Spanish, directly desde Sudamérica, para conversar con ustedes los últimos avances de la medicina regenerativa, de las MICs, de las vesículas extracelulares en la región. Tengo en este momento a una gran colega, gran científica de Chile, Francisca Alcayaga, del Centro Impact. Francisca, qué gusto el que estemos ahorita contigo y con toda la comunidad de ISCT el día de hoy. ¿Cómo te sientes?
Me siento muy bien, muchas gracias por la invitación.
Excelente. No, gracias, para nosotros es un honor. Quisiera conversar contigo acerca de algunas cosas. Bueno, la primera es cómo te has sentido tú, cómo te has sentido en el entorno de lo que es la medicina regenerativa, el STEM, el rol de la mujer dentro de lo que es el avance y el desarrollo de la medicina regenerativa en la región.
La verdad que muy bien, la verdad que el desarrollo de la ciencia liderado por mujeres es un camino que ha sido progresivo. Cada vez más vemos mujeres que están liderando en la ciencia. Eso se traduce en que cada vez hay más mujeres liderando investigaciones que se traducen en publicaciones, no solo en número de publicaciones, sino también en impacto, en el factor de impacto de las revistas donde publican, en el número de patentamientos que tienen las tecnologías, y también se puede ver aquí mismo en el entorno de la ISCT, donde vemos cada vez más speakers, más oradoras mujeres presentando sus investigaciones en este entorno internacional.
Absolutamente no, es un gran rol que ustedes están realizando y para mí es siempre un orgullo poder tener excelentes y grandes colegas. No, una pregunta relacionada a tu trabajo. Sé que estás trabajando en las microvesículas, los somas, todo lo que se produce como cell-free therapies. ¿Todavía hay espacio para innovar en todo este maraña de cosas? ¿Es todavía algo que se puede hacer igual dentro de lo que es nuestro entorno Sub y Centroamérica?
Absolutamente sí. Yo creo que queda un gran espacio por investigar, eso por una parte, y también queda un gran camino para poder hacer la traslación de este tipo de tecnología y que pueda impactar definitivamente a las sociedades de los diferentes países. En ese sentido, nosotros en el laboratorio estamos trabajando con las vesículas extracelulares nativas derivadas de las células estromales, derivadas del cordón umbilical, las cuales se utilizan como agentes terapéuticos para el tratamiento de la osteoartritis, desarrollo que ha tardado más de 10 años y que estamos ya a punto de iniciar un ensayo clínico utilizando estas vesículas para ver efectivamente la seguridad que tienen en su aplicación y posteriormente su eficacia.
Maravilloso, Francisca, de verdad. que este espacio ha sido muy importante para nosotros como región para poder conocer mucho más lo que están haciendo dentro de lo que es el Centro Impact, ¿sí? Y en Chile y por supuesto en Sudamérica. Muchísimas gracias por tu tiempo.
Gracias a ti, Andrés.
So, Ted, have you heard that workflow development is one of the key priorities for ISCT? So, in the last year, ISCT has launched this ISCT Institute of Training and Development workflows to address all the skill gaps in cell and gene therapy,
Yeah.
and also for succession, because we need succession. People
Oh, yeah.
like me are not going to last forever, so we need succession.
Oh, we're going to keep you around as long as we can, Lizette, and that is for sure, because your wealth of expertise has really driven this field forward. But like you said, yeah, we gotta develop the next generation. We gotta make sure that we're continuing to support, and I mean, not even the next generation, but grow to the fact that we can support all the therapies that are being developed.
I know.
Yeah. Very thoughtfully, Maggie decided to sit down with Julie Alexson about the workforce development programs, and she's up next.
So I'm here with Julie Alexson, the co-chair of the ISCT Workforce Committee. Welcome.
Thank
ISCT
you.
TV. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. Excited to be here. There's
Yeah.
a lot going on and 2,500 people this year, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah. So I've got a few questions for you, if that's all right.
Yes, thank you.
So as cell and gene therapy is such a new and constantly progressing field, what do you see as the main workforce skills gap in the sector at the minute?
Yeah, and workforce development is close to my heart. I think, for us to be able to train the next set of people that are going to be doing the manufacturing and all of the components to be able to help commercialize these therapies is quite important. So I really see us, ISCT, as and Mayo Clinic as being able to train the workforce not only in the biomanufacturing, but expertise in other areas of the workforce development as well.
Right, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes. So I just wanted to know how you think this affects the speed and efficiency in which innovation is translated into novel therapeutics, and that can be safely translated into the clinic.
Yeah, so I'll just say that we're looking at being able to, in ISCT again, and possibly working with Mayo Clinic to set up this basic training, which is going to allow someone to hit the ground running, when they get into either pharma or an academic facility. I think besides those basic training skills of biomanufacturing and quality assurance and quality control, we also look at specialty areas. And so if you're listening at the conference, there's a lot of discussion about induced pluripotent stem cells. And I think this is one area that possibly we can train in, and that can really help hit the ground running so that they can be off and working quickly when they get into a company or an academic facility, because otherwise it's maybe 6 months to get them trained and up and running. So this is really the way that we can accelerate these technologies. It's going to be a hybrid, holistic approach to be able to accelerate the technologies, but I think the workforce development is one of the important pieces, and I feel grateful that ISCT is working on this and looking at, hoping to be a leader in training the next workforce.
Yeah, it seems like they really have the sort of key to linking up these people and saving time on the training when you start the job. Yeah, it sounds great. So following on from that, what is the ISCT doing to address these gaps?
Yes, so we have a global workforce development committee, and really looking at how we can get training in every area. So if you're looking at Asia, Australia, European, and North America, that we have systems in place and training that can harmonize. So everybody can learn those basics in biomanufacturing and process development, and it can be harmonized and standardized globally. So everybody has that opportunity to learn the same thing. So I think that's very important. And then, as I said, looking at these other specialty areas. So possibly a week or 2 weeks could be hands-on, which is quite important in this field. And then maybe we would have, teams or other types of programs that would be virtual that people could participate in. So it would be a combination of that. But I think the goal is really to globally train the workforce. And I think nobody else is doing that. it leaves this gap for ISCT to really be a leader in that field. So I'm honored to be a part of that on the Global Workforce Committee.
Yeah, that's really exciting. So with the workshops, the in-person ones, would they take place in different places across different countries as well? Is that what the plan
Yes.
is? And then I guess the virtual workshops sort of plug the other gaps too.
Yes,
Yeah.
no, so right now they're setting up with a lot of different organizations, and we, Mayo Clinic, will participate in that on an initial pilot study. I would say the challenge is there's only a small number of people that can be trained in some of these sites. And so we're looking at being able to make these a larger group of people that can come in and be trained hands-on. But so right now there's several sites that are training. You can see that if you go to the website. But we're looking to add on to that because there's a lot more need that we haven't been able to meet that need yet. So
Brilliant.
we're excited.
Well, thanks so much for joining us, Julie.
You're
It's been great
welcome.
speaking
Thank
to you. I'm
you.
really excited about workforce development now. So
Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the meeting.
Thanks, you too.
Okay, bye.
Welcome to ISCT, and we are joined by the newest members of our Cytotherapy team, Editor-in-Chief Ed Horowitz, and the Managing Editor, Ken Whitwer. Can you tell us about some of the recent developments in cytotherapy?
Well, I think that the biggest development in cytotherapy is bringing Ken on board.
Oh, good.
Okay? Because what we strive to do is serve our readership and our authors in the most efficient and effective way. So while I am working on the overall plan for cytotherapy and the strategic pathway to grow and sculpt the journal, Ken works on making sure the journal runs well on the day-to-day activities. We get papers in, we get them reviewed, a decision is made, we notify authors, and that's a great service to our authorship and actually strengthens our journal.
So Ken, tell us, how been your experience? I just heard from you that you started in December.
That's right.
So tell us about how's it been with working with Ed and everything that you have done so far.
Well, it's been a real adventure and I think a pleasure for me for sure to work with Ed, to work with Patrick, to work with Rachel as well. And then of course all of our associate editors, our editorial board, and then just to see the diversity of papers that are coming in. So I think we made substantial progress in the last few months in really increasing our review speed.
Yeah.
And we're continuing to make progress. We've met a few times at this meeting to talk about how we're going to make things even better.
Great. And thank you both for joining us. There has been a breadth of information coming in for our sessions and in our roundtable discussions. So what are the key priorities of cytotherapy to kind of reflect what we're seeing here at this meeting and beyond?
Well, I think that our top two priorities are one, to get our papers reviewed quickly and service our authors, communicate with our authors. And then our second priority is to attract papers that are cutting edge and that are from the major labs that will have a huge impact on the field.
Oh.
And we are doing, not to pat myself on the back because it's certainly a team effort,
pat yourself on the
but I
back.
think we're doing a great
Pat Ken
job.
too.
I think Ken is doing a great job of moving things forward, and we have redesigned parts of the journal, and we're reaching out to some of the key leaders in various fields because, as you know, cell therapy is a very broad field, encompasses different tissues, different diseases, different organ systems, and we're reaching out to leaders across all fields to attract them to submit their papers to cytotherapy. And the other major thing about cytotherapy that I think is so important and that we will never want to lose is that we're a resource for the manufacturing community to publish methods and approaches, strategies for the regulatory affairs community to publish reviews of regulations across the world.
Sure.
In a perfect world, we'd all have the same regulations.
Oh,
we don't live in a
yes.
perfect
No,
world.
we don't.
Yes.
So it can be difficult when you're trying to develop a therapy that's going to be available to people in
Sure.
all areas of the world.
Yeah,
And-
best practices and collaboration
Absolutely.
get things moving faster.
Absolutely, bringing the world together. I firmly believe, and the reason why I joined ISCT 25 years ago was because it is an international society.
Yeah.
We're all in this together.
Yeah.
The days when countries could go it on their own are long gone. So we've all got to come together and work best for humanity.
It's right there in the eye.
Yeah.
Ken, do you have any?
So one of the priorities that I really appreciate that Ed has is engaging the early career professional
Oh, yeah.
community.
Oh,
So these ESPs,
definitely.
we are going to be putting out a call soon to ask for people to volunteer or to be volunteered, and we want to make sure that our early stage professionals are also having the opportunity to engage with publishing on both sides as authors, but then also on the reviewing and editing side. So I think that's a great way to engage the community and to really also have more training opportunities.
So, Ed, what is your vision for the future of the journal?
We want to grow the journal so that we are the first choice of authors to submit their best work. And for that, we have to have a broad reach to our readership, and we have to have broad access to medical schools and research institutions. And we have a great subscription now. We want to increase that for sure. But we want to be the journal where people think of submitting their papers first. We are the go-to journal, and I think we're well on our way. I mean, ISCT is often quoted as being the go-to society for cell and gene therapy across the world. And now we want the journal to step up and match the society's great strengths.
Thank you so much for all the information.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I think cell therapy is in great hands, and we're looking forward to see what you guys come up with in the future. And remember, if you are a member of ISCT, it comes with a subscription to cell therapy. So be sure to check it out for the latest research and all the novel information and techniques that are hopefully coming out. We're going to cut to Alicia, who sat down with Scale Ready and had a nice little chat.
Hey guys, we're here at Scale Ready. Now, you had an amazing presentation this morning. Do you want to tell us a little bit about sustainability and cell therapy?
Yes. So this morning we were talking about sustainability in relation to waste in cell therapy.
Yes.
Now, because cell therapy is a very green industry, or very early industry, they have not really gone through multiple cycles of continuous improvement. So as we define waste, it's not the way that other more mature industry will do. In this case, the way that we define waste is all the reasons why very cool technology or science may not make it to patients. What could be all those wrong decisions? So all those wrong decisions eventually come to economics, the way that you handle being able to manufacture your science and to reach patients fast. Being able to remove erroneous decisions that eventually take a toll on your finances is what makes to be successful or a failure or introduce waste into your process.
Right, yeah. So do you want to tell us a little bit more about the resources and the things that you guys can provide to try and reduce some of that waste?
Yeah, so basically when you look under the hood in a manufacturing setup for cell therapy, you have three main buckets. You have material, you have labor, you have overhead. Now, overhead normally is related to everything around your manufacturing facility. If you want to go external to do your manufacturing, going to a CDMO, or you stay internal and you build your own manufacturing capability, it all depends on whether or not you're ready for high throughput manufacturing. Like, for example, if you're going to manufacture only one patient lot a month versus 10 patients a month, it may make sense to go internal versus going to a external CDMO that if you manufacture only one patient, economically makes a little more sense.
Right, yeah.
Right? So know your numbers, know how many individuals you need to manufacture, whether you need an organization of 20 people or 40 people, what is the happy number in order to take you to the next milestone, or whether your material is optimized, whether you have the right throughput. You see one of these guys, instead of getting 20% cells, you're able to generate 80% of the capability of the G-Rex. So you can achieve the same amount of cells with less resources. And when you put everything together, you may have a model that is financially viable, or altogether, when you have those three items in a very wasteful manner, could become something catastrophic for your company.
Right, and I loved your analogy using the G-Rex units for expansion. That was really fantastic.
The G-Rex unit, yes.
Yeah. So just really quickly, tell us a little bit about your G-Rex grant program.
The G-Rex grant program is an initiative launched by Scale Ready in partnership with Wilson Wolf Biotechnic, and is $20 million meant to help companies, academia, and commercial companies to advance their therapy, their cell therapy, by providing G-Rex, media, or operational know-how as part of the grant.
Oh, that sounds amazing. And so how can we apply, and who's it available to? And what sort of stage do you need to be at before you can apply?
So
I'm asking for me.
So it's very easy, actually. So either if you are in preclinical, you are clinical, or even commercial, so pretty much around your R&D, you have to have the intention of bringing your science into the clinic.
Yep.
You have to develop your technology around G-Rex, and then you want to bring your technology fast in an economical manner, and you are open to continuous improvement and being coached.
Yeah.
Then this is the right grant for you.
Okay, we're going to talk after this. That's fantastic. So come down to Scale Ready, booth 428. I'd love to talk to you. Thank you.
Excellent. Bon, bienvenue à notre... C'était quoi? Ah non, est-ce qu'on est en Canada et on parle les trois langues alors?
Ben oui, c'est le Canada, c'est bilingue, donc ça doit être en français, donc c'est ISCT France.
France. Excellent. Bienvenue à ISCT de France. No. Wow, no, c'était un petit blague. Bienvenidos a la ISCT en español. Un gusto el poder entrevistar el día de hoy a Maroon Curry, un gran amigo desde hace muchos años. De hecho, Maroon y yo vinimos del mismo laboratorio allá en Montpellier, en Francia. Entonces ha sido una larga historia de mucha interacción. Muchísimas gracias por todo lo que Maroon también ha hecho por la región y por la ISCT. Maroon, los avances en medicina regenerativa en Sudamérica han sido vertiginosos. Muchos de esos avances han venido de Chile, sí, pero a su vez también hay muchas empresas que han emergido y que muchas de ellas no han desarrollado la suficiente evidencia clínica. ¿Qué podemos hacer para que el ambiente en la terapia celular en Sudamérica sea más sano?
Hola Andrés, sí, efectivamente es realmente una buena iniciativa de poder estar acá en este congreso y además poder expresarnos en español y hablar también de la ciencia que está emanando de diferentes países de la región, Brasil, Chile, Ecuador, dentro de otros países. El interés es importante y hoy estamos en una fase, digamos, de maduración del concepto de desarrollar terapia celular y génica para llegar a una fase clínica. Obviamente investigacional, hoy al menos en Chile no hay ningún tratamiento aprobado. Sin embargo, hay muchos esfuerzos académicos serios, con alto prestigio, que están iniciando ensayos clínicos de fase 1 o 2 y ojalá puedan tomar el camino hacia la aprobación y la comercialización de estos productos. Entonces, en términos de nivel de maturación tecnológico, estamos en fase clínico temprana 1 y 2 y el camino es obviamente llegar a una aprobación.
Excelente, ¿no? Y eso es un camino súper importante y creo que también la falta de regulación en Sudamérica es algo que no facilita el desarrollo de terapias celulares. Pero desde ese punto de vista, la ISCT, ¿cómo puede ayudar a que esa información llegue a las personas que quieren hacer esto seriamente?
Sí, efectivamente la regulación no ha acompañado el proceso, se quedó un poco atrás. Y una manera optimista de ver todo esto es, a veces, de quejarse de que no hay o si hay, es muy estricto, es tener un acompañamiento a este sistema de regulatorio. Y lo que se ha hecho es seminarios, reuniones anuales junto con la ISCT en Chile, en Brasil, y hubo contacto directo entre las autoridades regulatorias y la ISCT. La ISCT hoy es un advisor de la FDA en Estados Unidos. es un buen advisor para WHO y también puede ser un muy buen consejero de las agencias local de cada país. Obviamente cada país en la región tiene su propia regla. Hay avances, por ejemplo, en Brasil y hay normativas que están en estudio. La idea es no crear algo de la nada, más bien crear algo con el input de los expertos, en mesas abiertas, discusiones con los científicos, porque al final es ellos quien va a tomar este camino. Si el camino es difícil a caminar, nadie lo va a tomar. Vamos a tener una autopista muy luminosa, muy linda, pero sin ningún auto que puedes pagar los tags y caminar este camino por
Claro que sí.
la dificultad.
No, excelente, Manuel. No, de verdad que esa facilidad de poder interactuar con la ISCT y las entidades regulatorias es súper clave para poder desarrollar nuestro ecosistema. Y bueno, una última pregunta. Tú cumples roles en la industria y también en la academia. ¿Cómo estos dos aspectos se fusionan en tu día a día?
Sí, efectivamente son diferentes gorros. A veces uno se despierta y decir, ¿quién soy? ¿Dónde estoy hoy?
Hoy soy una compañía. ¿Sí?
Hoy que me toca, soy el entrepreneur o soy el profesor que tengo, obviamente, trabajos académicos, supervisión de estudiantes. Y finalmente, esos dos mundos que parecen muy diferentes, no lo son tanto. Porque con los atributos que tenemos, las habilidades que tenemos como científicos de problem solving, de resolver problemas, de crear conocimiento, yo lo veo más bien un camino continuo hacia crear impacto, desde el conocimiento al impacto en el mundo real. Es una cadena y hoy se puede hacer de dos maneras. El científico, su trabajo se para en el laboratorio, transmite todo en documento a la parte de negocio, o él mismo puede acompañarlo para que este conocimiento no se afloja, no se pierde, no se diluye en el lenguaje de business, de entrepreneurship. Y yo lo veo una continuidad, es un desafío. Uno tiene que agarrar el mejor de los dos mundos.
Por supuesto, Marún, no, qué excelente. Nuevamente, para mí es un orgullo y un honor poder tener a Marún como un gran colaborador y, de hecho, pues como un motor que nos mueve hacia poder conquistar nuevos puntos en el desarrollo de la terapia regenerativa dentro de nuestra región sur y Centroamérica. Muchísimas gracias, Marún, nuevamente por esta entrevista.
Muchas gracias,
excelente.
Andrés.
Gracias a ti.
So the ISCT Career Achievement
All right.
Award is the highest honor awarded by the society. So early today at ISCT TV, Ambassador Subdiptu Barry caught up with Mark Laudel to discuss the recent award.
I'm joined by Mark Laudel, the winner of the 2024 ISCT Career Achievement Award. Congratulations, Mark.
Thank you.
Would you like to share a few key achievements or failures in your professional journey that has shaped your work?
That's a very good and quite challenging question. I suppose the first big achievement was being able to set up the very first cell and gene therapy manufacturing facility in Europe, actually,
Right.
In 2003, before the law changed that made cell and gene therapies medicines. So that was a big achievement, and working very closely with the UK medicines regulator was great. So that was a good achievement. I suppose the second big achievement was making the very first ATMP as a medicinal product in 2007, and that really set the scene for UCL becoming the centre for cell and gene therapy really for development in Europe. And then probably the next big achievement was the first tissue engineered product that we put into a child in 2010 with Martin Birchall and Martin Elliott, and basically saved his life by giving him a restorative trachea. In terms of things that I would say haven't gone well and have formulated my mindset, probably the real challenge is in setting up a viral vector facility in the UK, and that was largely politics rather than technical issues. And I guess that is the challenge in this field, getting the money to do the work you want to do and sustaining that funding. So yeah, I think we've been good at getting funding. We've been good at funding phase 1 trials. The challenge then to get them into trials beyond that is actually very great, and we've quite often failed to do that.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. In fact, UK is a great place to look up to when you're developing cell and gene therapies from other countries across the globe. Thank you for sharing your experience. what are the key advancements that you're most excited about for cell and gene therapy in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh, well, I think as we've seen today in the MSc world, although MSCs have been the bedrock of this society and of translational medicine in cell therapy, they've never really got beyond phase 2 trials, and where they have, they've largely failed.
Right.
And I think that's down to inconsistency of product. It's very difficult to compare and contrast different publications in different trials because everyone's using a different product. And I think the world is recognizing that is changing. We certainly, within my research team and my company, have developed an MSc product which is very standardized. And we have already a product similarly in India that's also very standardized. And I think in the next 5 years, we're going to see standardization of MSc products so that we can get real yes-no answers in terms of their applicability. And I think cost of goods is actually intriguingly going to go down because we're learning a lot more about how to manufacture these cells. And those decisions are being made earlier in the product development cycle. So we as developers are getting smarter. And that will then lead to the greater availability of products that are affordable.
Thank you for sharing that. I mean, it's wonderful to hear that MSCs would become more specific, more targeted, that could improve their safety and efficacy. And of course, the cost of goods coming down is something
That's
that
what
the
we
whole
hope,
world
yeah.
is looking forward to.
Yeah.
That brings me to my last question. What would be your word of advice for early stage professionals to shape a career in this field of cell and gene therapy?
Yeah, well, I'd love a crystal ball that worked that out. But I suppose that the word what I wanted to say in my thank yous yesterday was collaboration is essential. Being willing to say yes when you really want to say no is essential. But the other lecture I give a lot, and it applies to it really throughout the industry, but particularly to early stage professionals, is get it right first time.
Right.
Think about your end game, whether it be a product or your career, and try to get it right first time. That sounds trite and easily said, but there are very, very good things that you can do in terms of getting it right first time. You can think, what will the market bear if I make a product? Could anybody ever make this product, get it into clinical trial, and get out of it with a number of doses that will change clinical practice? And I think that's the biggest question. Everything you do from an early stage and going onwards, you should say, is this likely to change clinical practice?
Thank you so much. Those are wonderful words of wisdom for the younger generation to keep in mind. With that, I would like to thank Mark again for joining us. And now back to Ted and Lizette.
So Lizette, we had a lot of roundtables yesterday. Did you see anything that you saw
Oh
that
my
you thought
gosh.
was
Yes.
impressive?
I went to the plenary this morning, and they have Martine Rothblatt.
Yeah.
She came and talked about this 3D organ, what is it? Like a
Recellularization? 3D
recellularization.
printing, bioprinting,
Yes, and
I think.
she talked about lungs. It was amazing. I didn't know this was happening close to where I live in Maryland, so it was very exciting.
But I think that's pretty much a wrap for ISCT TV.
Yes, tonight we have a number of networking events, including the ESP networking and the industry networking. So tune in tomorrow for the scoop on these events.